Train.
All right, you guys, I am so excited to turn this over to Holly Lowe. You can see her accolades in the booklet. I am going to go over them though, so you can appreciate who you are listening to. And you have Holly's address on our speaker notes too to jot her a note. But I'm just excited to hear what God's going to speak through her. I'm the national that will give people an overview of what's going on, but with all of our trainers, they in no way, shape, or form are scripted because I'm asking women who are plugged into God's word and listen to the Lord. And so he knows far better than I could even imagine what's supposed to transpire in this day. Holly began her Mary Kay business at the ripe age of 20. She was a college student at Clemson University, earning her degree in elementary education when she said yes to adding another thing to her already busy schedule. She debuted as an independent sales director in 2002 and earned her first company car as a junior in college. Holly enjoyed working her business part-time while she graduated with high honors and began her teaching career. Holly's earned 8 free cars, over 23 carats of diamonds, topaz, and sapphires in her business and has traveled the world. Holly has enjoyed 5-star accommodations in Maui, Hawaii, cruised the Mediterranean to Greece and Turkey, climbed the Great Wall of China, saw the Queen's Jewels in London, England, enjoyed the tango capital of the world in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and toured the Sistine Chapel in a private tour in Rome, Italy. And last May of 2019, she and Matt cruised the French Riviera. Holly's highest income for 1 month, not including her diamonds, prizes, cars, or trips, is over $24,000. Holly's favorite memory is retiring her husband from his management position 14 years ago. Holly and Matt have been married 16 years, have a 12-year-old son, Toby, and 6-year-old son, Gunnar Lowe. She is a person who believes God has already given you everything you need to be successful inside yourself. Just dream bigger and expect success. Holly battled with self-worth and feelings of not measuring up until she earned her first pink Cadillac and 5 years later debuted at that time as the youngest national sales director worldwide at 29 years old. She gives credit to this company for offering her flexibility, freedom, morals, values, Christian principles, abundant thinking, financial freedom, and a chance to truly live the American dream. And I first met Holly, I think it was in St. Simon's Island. And I remember her pulling up to one of my fall retreats on St. Simon's Island, just picked up a Cadillac. Her and her husband were there, and my husband immediately fell in love and had a man crush on Matt Lowe because Matt Lowe played professional baseball for a while. So, you know, the boys were just having a sporting boy man crush that started and has continued on. Sometimes I think my husband may talk to Matt Lowe more than he talks to me. He's like, "Oh, Matt's on the phone. Okay, don't let me get in the middle of anything." But you guys, I love that because my husband and I have had people, you know, a decade older than us in raising our kids and in life that have mentored us. And now we're at a season of life that we get to turn around and do the same thing. It is a beautiful part of this culture, the generational equipping and discipling and apprenticing, and not just in business. I mean, the things that I've learned from the women who have gone before me about being a wife and being a Christ follower and being a parent have broken generational bondages in both myself and my husband's families. And I pray that my husband and I can be freedom fighters for marriage and for parenting and for living and working with God first, family second, and career third. But Holly is one of those women that I know God has connected myself and my husband and our family with strategically. She's beautiful inside and out. She's one of those women that if you look at her, you're like, she's intimidating. I mean, her skin's beautiful. She's one event in Charleston. I mean, her stomach was like out to here. And she's one of those women that is comfortable in her own skin, whether she is 9.5 months pregnant or she's a skinny mini. She is, it's interesting that she says she's one of those women that would intimidate you, I think, to warm book. Yet she tells you that she struggled with self-esteem issues. And Mary Kay has been the potter's wheel that God has used for her to see herself from his perspective versus the world's perspective. So this is a protector of Mary Kay's traditions, values, and principles. She is for sure a legacy leader. She is an old soul, for sure. But I mean, she's not old, but she's an old soul. She is legacy, not celebrity. She is mission versus position. I am so excited to introduce you to my friend, National Sales Director, HOLLI LOWE.
Hello, everyone. I hope this works. Can y'all hear me?
Perfect.
Okay, great. So, Satan always has a way of messing up the Zoom things. You know what I mean? So I can't hear y'all on my screen. So I've got y'all on my phone. So when I'm done talking and you have a question, Dawn, I'll have to turn my phone volume back up. So we're just going to roll with it, you guys, and hang in there. I want to read you something to start with today. And first of all, Otten-Sweeney has changed my life in ways she will never, ever, ever know. I reached out to two of my national sales director girlfriends at the beginning of 2020, and I said, I'm ready to make a shift. And I'm a person who needs a plan. I want the action plan, right? Do this, this, and this, and you get that, that, and that, right? That's who I am. My top 5 strengths are achiever, strategy. Okay. So I want a plan. One national friend said, okay, go back to doing what got you to national. But Otten-Sweeney said the thing that changed literally the entire trajectory of my life. And she said, what does God want you to do? And I said, I know in my guts what I'm called to, but she said, no, right now. Where does he want you right now? And I said, I don't know. I'm not sure. And she turned my eyes to a devotion, and that single devotion literally changed my life. And you guys, what I want to tell y'all today is those elevated friendships and sisterhoods that you gain when you step into Red Jacket, then into the suit, then into the NSD sisterhood, there is a level of understanding and appreciation that you can have for your sisters. And Dawn has connections to every NSD in our company that would have said yes to her today. And Dawn, I just want to tell you that I don't take it lightly that you asked me to come and be the voice for your girls today. I just want you to know I adore you. I appreciate you. I love that you know who you are. I don't feel like I always knew who I was, and I certainly don't always feel like I felt comfortable in my own skin. But Dawn sent me a gift this week, and I cried when I opened it. And it says, this is your life. Do what makes you happy. Change the things you can and let go of the things that you can't. If there's something that you want, go get it. If you have a dream, follow it. Don't let fear hold you back. Trust your instincts. Believe in yourself. You're capable of more than you think. I hope y'all write that down. You are capable of more than you think. When people tell you you can't, show them you can. There will be times when you fall, but you got to stand up again. Protect your heart, but recognize when to let go. Reminisce in the good times, but always look ahead. Learn from your mistakes. Do not dwell on them. Be confident in who you are. Keep your head high. And remember, you are beautiful. Don't be afraid to express how you feel. Cry hard. Laugh harder, and when you love with everything you have. Never settle. Find your passion. You can be whoever you want to be. There's no set of rules, but there's only now. This is your now. This is your time. This is your life. The only one you have. Make it count. You guys, the company mailed Dawn and I these tumblers, and it says, now is your time, Mary Kay. It's so hard to see. There we go. Now is your time, Mary Kay. And that's exactly what this says. But I want to start today. We're going to talk about something called grit. Grit. And there's the definition, you guys, of grit is courage and resolve. I want y'all to think bravery. I want you to think of David standing before Goliath. He did not look brave. He didn't. But do y'all know that David, they try to keep putting the armor on David. And you know what he said? I mean, I can't even stand up with all this stuff on. He couldn't be the warrior by their standards. He had to be the warrior by his standards. And to do that, he had to take what he had, use what he had, and do what he knew how to do. You guys, sometimes we just got to start where we are and do what we know. And that's what David did. He took it all off. He couldn't even stand up. He took all the armor off and he went and got 5, I think it was 4 or 5 stones. I think it's 5 stones. He put them in his little satchel. You guys, he would run and chase a lion into a pit to get the baby lamb out of the lion's mouth and take it back because he was a shepherd. He had one job: to protect the sheep. You have one job: live your calling. Do what you know you're supposed to do. You see, the calling God put on your life, y'all, he said it to you. It wasn't a conference call. Your husband wasn't there. Your friend wasn't there. Your mother-in-law wasn't there. Your naysayers weren't there. It wasn't a conference call. It was for you. And it's something that only you will understand. The world is never gonna get it. Do you think people thought David was making the right decision to chase the lion and save the sheep? Heck no. Do you think everybody had to gather and tell David, like, hey, bro, come on. This is a dumb idea. You're going to die. I mean, right? If he had had a meeting and polled everybody on their opinion of his calling, guess what? When they came and chose David and said, you're going to be the next king, do you know what he did next? They didn't put a crown on his head and whisk him away to this royal, majestic life. You know where he went? He went back to the field. Do you know what he did? He continued to guard the sheep. He continued to be a shepherd. What do you know how to do today? What do you know how to do? Do you know how to do bookings? You might not know today how to win a pink Cadillac. You might not feel like you're equipped or you got everything it takes. But guess what? God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. He will groom you as you go. David on that day didn't have everything it took to be king, but God groomed him through little wins and adversity and achievement. Because why? Because David had grit. The definition of grit is courage and resolve. So when David stood before Goliath, you guys, guess what? All he had was a slingshot. He took what he had and what he knew. He knew that he could trust himself to shoot the stone from the slingshot right where he knew how to shoot it. Because guess what? That's what he had done over and over and over. See, David already walked up with courage against Goliath. He lived this every day with the slingshot. So he had to take off the armor. He couldn't walk into this being who they thought he should be. So all the shoulds that you're putting on your life, that you should wake up every day at this time and you should look like this and you should act like that and you should say this and your waist size should be that. Guess what? It ain't. You're trying to put on a size 2 skirt on a 12 booty and you're squeezed and you're exhausted and you're frustrated. Funny story. Okay, I have worn top half NSD suit, okay, for a year and a half now, just like all my friends. So I went to my May race event. I pulled out my little knit skirt. I was so excited. I pulled on my Spanx. I had 2 minutes. I was walking out the door and I still had to do my hair, okay? I mean, I was hurrying. So I got the Spanx on. I'm like, woo, okay. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this, right? Then I pulled on my skirt and I was like, this is snug. It is snug. Okay, but it's okay because I had to do my hair. And then you go and you start the event and I felt hot all night, okay? So by the end of the event, y'all, I can kind of see stars. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I couldn't figure it out. I mean, I had to sit down. I was going to pass out. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what did I eat? Am I dehydrated? Do I have a brain tumor? Do y'all do this? Like, why am I seeing stars? Like you go down the road, like, okay. And you got to give yourself a pep talk. Like you got this, girl, come on. You don't have a tumor. You just need to drink more water, right? Okay. So I get home. Actually, I got in my car and I'm like, I have to take these Spanx off because I'm literally I'm seeing spots. Like I literally could not almost see at this point. It's 10 o'clock at night. I've been there since 4 o'clock. So I took the Spanx off and it didn't really help very much. So I got home and I'm like, I got to get this skirt off. It was a size 2 skirt. And if y'all know me, you know, I don't wear a single digit skirt on the bottom. Okay. I'm just being honest with y'all. Okay. And so one of my national friends was retiring and she mailed me all of her NSD suits and said, I know you have a long time left, stack them all up, do a parade at an event or whatever. Well, I hung her skirt on my rack. Okay. So I had poured my 12 into her 2. I got the circulation off to my brain for my whole event, y'all. I mean, I got that off. I was like, oh, like I felt like I had oxygen flowing to my brain again. So what I'm saying, y'all, don't be like Holly. Don't try to put on the 2. Don't try to be what you're not. We try to pour ourselves in the wrong mold and we don't fit that mold. And guess what? We stay squeezed and we stay on edge and we stay frustrated and we feel like we can't breathe and we feel the panic because you're trying to be what God never intended you to be. David couldn't even wear the armor because he never trained with the armor on. Now, if he would have picked up 25 more stones and walked around with that for a few weeks, guess what? His muscles would have got stronger. And then he would add maybe a breastplate on after 2 years of adding a piece on. You guys, we're trying to put all the stuff on and we don't have the muscles to hold ourselves up. And then we wonder why we keep falling on our face and falling on our face and falling on our face. I want to tell you the 5 characteristics that Forbes says, okay, are the 5 characteristics of grit. Number 1 is courage. Strength. The definition of courage is the strength in the face of pain or grief, the ability to do something that scares you. How many of you have had to have courage this past year? How many of you had to have courage to finish your win? How many of you had courage to even set the goal for the new year? You were frightened because you've said it before and missed it. How many of us have been there? I have been afraid to set the goal and have to say it because we feel like if we don't do it, then it's public humiliation and everybody knows our shortfalls. Number 2, conscientiousness. I couldn't even spell that word very well. Do you know what that means? Wishing to do one's work well and do a thorough job at it, to be thorough and to do it well. You guys, how many of us half-heartedly do our Mary Kay business? How many times do we give it half? And by giving it 100%, I don't mean 100% of the time. I'm a Christian 100% all the time. I'm a wife all the time. I'm a mama all the time. I am Mary Kay all the time. But the time that I give to each of those pieces looks very different to create a balanced, harmonious life in my home. Be conscious and do it well. Number 3, endurance, tenacity, follow through. If you want grit, you've got to have the power to endure an unpleasant or difficult process. What? Why does grit have to do with pain, follow through, difficult? Number 4, resiliency. Think optimism, think confidence, think creativity. Resilience means to recover from difficulties. Toughness, the ability to spring back. Think of elasticity of a rubber band, to go back. Elasticity, resiliency, to recover, to stand back up. One more time, then you fall down. Y'all, that's what we have to do. That's how we keep going. If you fail, you don't have to think of all the failures in your future. You just got to stand up from the last one and move forward, fall again, and stand up just one more time. I remember when my little boy came home from his first day of kindergarten, And then that turned into a week. And I remember him crying, saying, I can't be quiet for the rest of my life. I said, you don't have to be quiet forever, but you just got to be quiet tomorrow. He said, that's all? I said, yes, just tomorrow. You just got to be quiet tomorrow when she's talking. I can be quiet tomorrow, mommy. Y'all, we look at forever, and all we have to do is just today. Win today. Just get up today. Be brave today. Be brave right now. That's it. Y'all, we don't know what's coming in 10 years. Quit worrying about 10 years. Number 5 is excellence versus perfection. This almost destroyed Holly Lowe. I walked in the doors of Mary Kay with a perfection. I'm going to do it perfect, or I'm not doing it at all. Give me 100 or fail me. Guess what? It almost killed me, literally. Panic attacks, exhaustion. I was having cardiogenic syncope where I would just like pass out. My heart's firing signals to my brain because I was trying so hard to be perfect at everything. And guess what? On that day when I finally embraced that imperfect Holly was perfect Holly, like y'all see that pile of stuff right there? My imperfect would have taken everything off the wall, made sure all that was fine, hung the thing, made the banner, made it all perfect. But guess what? I'm not doing that right now. Sorry, there was other stuff on the list. When you realize that your imperfect picture of you is the perfect picture, that's when God can use you. When you quit putting on the size 2 skirt, you have no oxygen to your brain or to your dream. It is smothered out. When I got this gift in the mail from a friend, Otten-Sweeney, this week, it's a real pearl. Grit. This was what was on top of the box. It is so beautiful. I cried. It was the most beautiful gift, but I want to read you this company's definition of grit. She is unshakable. Not because she doesn't know pain or failure, but because she always pushes through. Because she always shows up and never, ever gives up. Because she believes anything is possible no matter the odds. And perhaps what makes her beautiful has less to do with what lies upon the surface and more to do with what lies within. She isn't just beautiful because of the way she chooses to live and love. It's in the way she embraces all of life's experiences, good or bad, in her willingness to bend but never break, and in her courage to believe that the darkness cannot hold her as long as she continues to create her own light. My life mantra is to be your own sunshine. She's just like a pearl made from grit, but full of grace. She is unstoppable. She knows it's not what happens, but how she chooses to respond with perseverance in her mind and passion in her heart. You guys, grit. Where do you need to increase your courage, your conscientiousness, your endurance, your resilience, your excellence? Where do you need to do that? The very end of my training, or the very end of my accolades, it says, Mary Kay has given her a chance to truly live the American dream. What is the American dream to you? What does your American dream look like? You guys, when I walked in the doors of Mary Kay as a sophomore in college, my American dream was the starter home that would become my forever home, living paycheck to paycheck for the rest of my life, very middle-class America. I would have a white picket fence, 1 daughter, 1 son, the golden retriever, and I would teach until I retired. And I would live middle-class America, blue collar, just like I had always seen. That was my American dream because I didn't know what else was available. That's all I ever knew. That was my normal. And when I sat in the arena at Career Conference in 2001, y'all, in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I watched women marching on stage, every size, shape, race, ethnicity, for earning free cars with Mary Kay, for traveling around the world. I didn't have a passport. I'd never considered having a passport, ever. I'd never considered a six-figure income for me. It was fine for other people, but as a school teacher, that's not how my life would look. I would drive by the houses on the lake and think, God, their home is so beautiful. Their life is so grand. And she dreams really big. Y'all, I didn't know about dreaming big and having a vision and living a life that was bigger than your blue collar normal. Because there's a country song, y'all, that says you can't outrun your roots. But I am living proof that you can, if you choose to. You guys, there are things about our roots that make us so beautifully who we are today. Some of the things I brought into Mary Kay, the work ethic that I brought in the doors of Mary Kay, it came from my parents, from watching them live that blue collar life and never having anything handed to them. What is your American dream now that you know what is available to you? It's a banquet, you guys, and it's a big banquet table. Are you sitting on the floor underneath just taking the crumbs? Or do you need to sit in the seat and pull yourself up to the table and partake of all that Mary Kay has available for you? Mary Kay rewards the highly motivated. Mary Kay rewards women who have endurance and resilience and live by excellence. Excellence is not an attitude. Excellence is an attitude. It's not an end game. Excellence is who you be. You put it on every day and you choose every day in every moment what excellence looks like in this moment. Because excellence doesn't look like procrastination. It didn't for me. And there were pieces that I knew in order to live my American dream. And procrastination and negative self-talk and putting myself down were the pieces that I had to fix in order to step into who God needed me to be, in order for his plan to unfold. You guys, we got to delete the Pinterest board. You see, for 7 years, have drawn this L-shaped swimming pool, okay? And it has a waterfall because I love moving water. I literally took a picture of my dream house, y'all, 10 or 11 years ago, and I put it in the folder, and I knew one day, right? Because I believe anything is possible. One day, that dream house stayed in front of me and stayed in front of me. And I remember the day Matt and I decided that we would turn this home into our dream house. And, I was going to throw the picture away, right? Because we weren't going to do that anymore. We weren't going to build that house on the lake. We were going to stay here and turn this into our dream home, because this is where I brought my babies home from the hospital. And this is where I raised my boys. And we made a decision to stay here. And I took the picture and I walked outside, and I was standing on the back half of our property, and I looked up at our house, and I couldn't breathe. So my husband had kind of talked me through the plans of how we would do an entire gut and remodel of our home. And he was telling me we would hardy board the top and rock the columns, and here's where the new pool would go. And the back of my house looked exactly like the dream house. So you see, God will. He will. It's like OnStar, rerouting. He will reroute you. If you didn't get it right the first time, he's the navigator, not you. You just got to go drive. He will reroute you to the destination, no matter how many times you fell off course, no matter how many times you got stuck at a traffic light. Guess what? Sometimes your destination time changes. You arrive
See
at
what
a
goes.
different time than you thought you were supposed to. But guess what? You can still arrive. Your time is now. Mary Kay said so. Our theme and mantra this year for my national area is, and so she built, not designed. She built a life she loved. You guys, to build something is action. To design it, to draw it, to make a picture, to create a vision, that's all great. And most of us have those on our Pinterest boards. We do. But the greatest joy when he finished my waterfall and I went into Pinterest and deleted my dream pool board, because I didn't have to go on Pinterest to look at it. I can walk out my back door now and I can live that Pinterest American dream board every single day. I drew it, but then I had to go execute and pray like it all depended on God and work like it all depended on me. And I had to go through the action, pray through, do the work, use what I had, be who I was, quit trying to squeeze into a size 2 skirt. And there's only one Otten-Sweeney. There's only one Holly Lowe. Be who you are and bring those gifts to the table. The last thing I want to leave y'all with today is I want you to take your thoughts captive. And I know the speaker that was on that said that right when I was hopping on. You guys, if you ever understand that this business is 90% head, you will literally increase your income. Double, triple, quadruple. When you really understand that if you ever get this right, your success in Mary Kay lies between the 6 inches between your ears. And I believe that with 1,000% of every fiber of my being. You guys, we teach skill, we teach skill, we teach skill, we teach skill, we teach skill. If all it took was skill, you guys, you would all be NSDs. You have the skill. You have to have the belief, and the belief starts in your brain, right? Action, my friends, is what increases your belief. Action gives you confidence. Confidence is what gives you belief. Excuse me. Belief is what makes you brave, and belief is what makes you willing to do things that feel impossible. But it all starts where? With action. The way you change your brain, your thought, is to get moving. If you want to build the American dream for your family and yourself, you got to get in motion. Grit comes as a result of adversity. It irritates the shell. That little grain of sand gets in there and it irritates. Did y'all know that snails, clams, mussels, and oysters can all make pearls? I thought it was only oysters. I got a science class researching all this. The formation of these precious gems begins underwater when the oyster becomes irritated and disrupted by the sand. How many times were you irritated last year? Your plans got disrupted. You got success. Success sometimes is going to feel frustrating, right? There's pieces that we have to be courageous through. It feels scary. It's uncomfortable, but grit comes as a result of adversity. So when you fall, when you're frustrated, and when you're discouraged, I want you to tell yourself, guess what? I'm on the right track. I'm on the right path. And stop believing you're broken. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. You have exactly what you need. Work on this, my friends, as you stay in action. And when you pair the two and you blend working on my brain, working on my confidence, working on my head, working on my belief, while you do that, Put all your issues in a book bag, all the stuff and the reasons you tell yourself you can't do it, all the childhood stuff, when nobody picked you for Red Rover, when you didn't get to sit at the table with your friends, when your dad told you you were stupid, when your first boyfriend had, picked a different girl. You know what happens? Somebody rejects us on a booking call, and you know what we do? I know, my boyfriend, he did the same thing. Yeah, that's what we do. And she comes back up and she rears her ugly head. You're not her anymore. Stop believing you are. You're not her. When you start over, you start experienced. You don't start over. Now you know what to do. Take all your issues, shove them in your book bag, put them on, and go to work. And guess what? The things that you're using as an excuse will be less of an excuse when you focus on other people. Put them in your bag, take them with you, and go build a life you love. Dawn?
Oh my gosh. I just sit here so happy listening to you, and so grateful that Debbie Moore made Nancy Murata come and talk to me in a mall 35 years ago, because you're one of those women, when I listen to you, I'm like, she's passionate, she's excited, she's real, she's herself. She's not anyone other than who she's supposed to be. And I so desired to be that girl. Like, that is what God used to draw me to him in this whole process of Mary Kay. And so if there's any of you out there, and Holly, we have a couple, so Alden Alley, as you call her, has a house party going on, and Cindy Fournier, so the two directors that just earned Cadillacs have their future areas and their units there. We have pockets of people watching this together, but you guys, I hope that your heart is beating faster. I mean, if you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, like, I would just like to sit around with Holly Lowe and have her be my friend, then join us, earn the trip to Scotland this year, go to your fall retreat, come to my lake retreat, come to Leadership as a Sales Director. You guys connect with these women, because I achieved in Mary Kay because I wanted to be with women like Holly Lowe. And then all of a sudden, God reveals you are one of them, because you know your tribe. He knows, like, he made you. He made all of you. He knew you before your mom and dad knew you. He knows your tribe. And I remember sitting there at my first seminar and Mary Kay coming out on the stage, and I just started crying. I was a 23-year-old. I was not a crier at that point in time. But I realized that it was because it was the first time I ever felt like I fit in. And Mary Kay is such an interesting culture to say you fit in, because, like Holly said, you see women, all different body shapes, all different skin colors, all different languages, all different cultural, ethnic backgrounds, different countries, etc. But all this common bond that we have, and the encouragement that we give each other in the process of figuring out what our best version of ourselves looks like. And so thank you for bringing your best today. I love when you said, so to recover. And so we have lots of opportunities in this business to recover, because we're in the people business and in ministry, and it's messy. And so when you need to recover from a disappointment, whether it's your own choices or other people's choices that have disappointed you or discouraged you, whether it's a finish line or a person, how do you recover? How does Holly Lowe get back on track?
Hang on, I got to turn this one off and that one on. I apologize. So I think the easiest way to recover, Dawn, is if you've got to have enough going on, because when you sit still, you think too much. And when we think too much, then we have time to be offended. We have time to be hurt. We have time to be exhausted, or we have time to scroll and see how great everybody else is doing. And then we compare. And so I think you've got to figure out, go stand by a tree one day by yourself. And I want you to take a picture of yourself and blow it up where no other humans are around you. And I want y'all to put staying in my own lane and frame it and hang it in your office. Okay. Get in your own lane and know where you're going. The other thing, you guys, is understanding that the way people treat you has to do with them and not you. hurting people hurt other people. Or they're crying out for some reason. Most people aren't intentionally mean to you because you're broken. It's because they are, because their dad told them they were stupid and they're still choosing to believe it. And so as you grow through those pieces and you understand more about how other people tick, then you can be less offended or even hurt. I think it's just a matter of understanding that people treat you based on them and not you.
Mm-hmm. So share with us, you give an example of when you say taking a thought captive. Like when you say taking a thought captive, give us an example of what that could look like in a Mary Kay life. How do you take a thought captive?
Okay, so she said, how do you take a thought captive? Okay, so you guys, one thing that I did and one thing I train on is literally take your notebook. I don't have it laying right here, but take your notebook down the left side of your paper, and I want you to put everything, write down every thought that you think about yourself that is not positive. Okay. My booty's too big. I'm a procrastinator, la, 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 all the stuff. Okay. Because I didn't know that I did this to myself. Okay. I didn't know that I had negative tapes or not so positive thoughts. And my national said, I want you to go home and I want you to, every day that you have a negative thought, every time I want you to write it on this notebook paper and I want you to bring it back to the next meeting. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I have one a day. Maybe I'll put one down. You guys, I drove 2.5 hours home and I had it filled up before I got home. I didn't realize literally how I was sabotaging myself. You're not like those girls. Why do you say you can do this? You know, you're not going to do it. You're not even as smart as they are. I mean, like, you might be cute, but she's a size 4 and she's like really cute and she has great boobs and she's got perfect lashes and right, y'all, like all this stuff. We all do that. And so I had my page filled before I left that day, before I got home that day. And so what I had to learn how to do was to be aware of the thoughts and replace it with a different positive thought. For example, you're not like those girls, or why do you think you can actually do this? Or it's so hard for me to even say all that stuff anymore. I can't even think what people say to themselves anymore because I've spent my career reprogramming when trying to think of a tape. Remember the old school tapes, like you rewind and it would go across and it would spin up over here? That's what your brain does. And so you have to re-record over that piece of tape and re-record till you get all the way to the end of the tape. And then you'll be where I am now, where I literally have a hard time thinking negative thoughts about myself because I've learned to love the girl in the mirror. And it's been a 20-year process. That I used to could make a whole list and I'm like, I don't know what I used to say. I can't even remember anymore, but combat the negative thought with something positive. Instead of saying I'm a procrastinator, I would say I'm in the din club, right? I'm going to do it now. And I'm going to focus on checking off my 6 list. Not, I'm not going to procrastinate. No, but what are you working on? I'm messy. I make a mess. I'm clumsy. Okay, I'm remembering some of them. I'm clumsy. My dad called me Grace to make fun of me my whole life because I was forever doing something stupid. And so I had an issue with that, always feeling like a screw up, basically. You know what I'm saying? And so saying things like, I do pay attention. Like, it's important to pay attention when you're driving a car, but when you're 2 and you wreck your bike because you didn't watch your dad was pulling out with the car. Okay. Like, so you just got to overcome those negative things, Dawn. So.
Yep. So if you were giving advice to your 20-year-old self or to some of these women who are, brand new this seminar year or people who have been in decades, what do you want them to know about the value of this journey, the importance of this journey? Why do you pray that they never quit?
the number one thing is I would tell my 20-year-old self to stay in my own lane, to not put on the size 2 and try to be who you're not, to embrace who you are at your core, to recognize and appreciate what makes you who you are and what makes you beautiful, to learn how to love the girl in the mirror, whatever that looks like for you. The other thing that I would say though is go big. Do it big, call more customers, do more faces, share the opportunity more, especially the ability today to blend face to face with virtual and to braid that together. Literally, I honestly feel like anything is possible. The fact that there were more $1 million directors this year than in 1992 to me was evidence that that is true.
Mm-hmm.
You have the ability to impact more people than any of us did in our early days. Just like now, I mean, I would have never been able to be with you guys, on a Saturday afternoon at 2:00, right? But virtual has allowed us to connect in ways that we never imagined.
I would love for you to share some perspective from earning a top director's trip, because this is going to be the year that we have our first trip directors, and many are brand new that are super excited about Scotland and Ireland. So why is it worth qualifying for a Mary Kay director's trip?
You guys, if you've ever traveled, or have you ever tried to take a picture of a sunset, or you've tried to take a picture of some kind of scenery and it's so breathtaking and you look at the picture and you're like, that does not even compare, right? And so even me trying to tell you all the amazing, great and good and wonderful pieces of being a top director, traveling with Mary Kay, it still pales in comparison to how you're going to feel when you pack your bags and you put them on the belt and they take them and you board your plane. And when you land in whatever country, wherever you are flying into, and y'all, you don't touch your bags again. They get your bag for you. It's tagged. They load it on the bus and they drive you to your destination. You check in, not at the hotel desk. You check in with Mary Kay. When we arrived in Rome, y'all, we checked in. Mary Kay had us a beautiful packet and they were like, please go over here and pick out your real Italian gloves. You can pick any pair you want. When we got to Maui, they're like, oh, please go to the Maui Gym sunglasses, place. We have every style and shade you could possibly want. I'm like, okay. Like they just treat you're daughters of a king, right? And that's how you're treated, literally. Y'all, when we went to the French Riviera, our little butler stands outside the room and we would come out and he would say, hello, Miss Lowe, Mr. Lowe, I restock your fridge. And he would redo our refrigerator. Every time we drank one thing or took a soda or whatever, he would restock our fridge. And at night, he would put rose petals in the bathtub and he would put the bath bubbles on the side and he would run a bath for me at night. Like, what in the world? Okay. And then you come home to reality and you got kids and it's like, wait, I want to go back. But I'll tell y'all this, and I'm going to leave this thought with you. When I first started Mary Kay, Matt told me this was the dumbest idea I ever had. Okay. 9 years later, I'm on my first trip and we're literally overlooking the Mediterranean from the deck of our boat. We're cruising to Greece and Turkey. And I turned around and I was standing there. We were getting ready to go to the pool and he was just kind of standing behind me. We had just taken a picture and I turned around and he had tears. And if y'all know my husband, he doesn't cry, tears. And he said, thank you for not listening to me. I am so grateful that you saw the vision and you knew what this would give our family. You guys, honestly, that week with my husband every year. We have missed that more than anything with COVID because we order room service at 2 a.m. every day. We can lay in the bed naked all day, one of the days, and watch movies all day long. We just get to reconnect and be together. And if you ask either one of us, that is our most favorite week of every year. We cannot get to Hawaii fast enough in 2022. And you can sometimes probably take it for granted that you get to go on a 5-star luxury vacation, right? But I think all of us now we've never been more appreciative. And you guys, the opportunity for you as a sales director to get to gift that experience to your spouse or spouse or whatever, or even just to go with your girlfriends, it is an experience that you will never forget. You will never be the same. Just like I realized what was available at that first event, when you step off of that plane and you're surrounded by the biggest thinkers, the most courageous, resilient, gritty women in all of Mary Kay, and they will forever become your best girlfriends and they will elevate you. You will never be the same.
I think that's a perfect ending for this day, because we've talked about all the skills like you talked about, but it's the dream and the vision that gives you the willingness to learn the skill and to get excellent. Because my husband always says, as a trainer, you have to be bad before you're good. And so many people won't start until they're good, but it doesn't work that way. Grit starts off being bad, but with a dream and a goal. So thank you for being gritty. Thank you for sharing your awesome self. Tell Matt and those adorable boys hello and send us some pictures of your new pool.
I will for sure. Thank you for letting me be on with y'all today. I love you, my friend.
Thank you, Holly Lowe. I love you too.